She did. She wore a ninja outfit.
Speaking of which, ninjas beat pirates. Just saying.
Yes.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
No, not at
Oh
all.
yeah.
Welcome to Status Quo. I'm Chance, your host, and today I am joined by our bronze level coder, Johnny Boy, and Sundered Gaming's lead scribbler, Bear.
That's me.
Awesome.
Switched it up today.
Yeah. So, on the agenda for today, we are looking into and discussing monetization models. I know
everyone's favorite.
our absolute favorite thing to discuss.
Mm.
We try to keep things on a positive light here. Talking about monetization models, a little bit of a negative Nancy, but we're gonna try and keep it a little light here. So we're gonna start off with different ways to monetize. From a developer standpoint, we're looking at what we want in our future games. We're looking at how we can be ethical with what we're doing, and just felt like it was on par to just do a conversation, a little roundtable about monetization as a whole, and maybe what we're looking to do. So there's a couple different kind of models that you can go over. And actually, I kind of want to throw it over to John and ask you, what's your favorite monetization model?
It's kind of tough to say. And I know when we talk about monetization, we're not talking about microtransactions. That's just one type of monetizations that's out there. Like the traditional monetizations, like, hey, I pay you, $60 for a game, I get a game, and that's it. But nowadays, a lot of games come with extra stuff. So it's like, all right, well, I paid you $60 for the game that you guys developed, right? Do I need to give you more to continue, developing on this game that I already have, or could you be taking it and then just moving on, right? Like, so that's whether the traditional of just paying for a game is there, or a subscription-based game to where I'm paying you something, $14 a month. But then, you look at the values like, okay, I paid this company, especially when you've played for years, right? So much money, right? When it was only originally a $35 game. But I mean, also how many hours am I getting out of this game? So it's not really any favorite, right? It really just depends on the game itself.
Yeah.
The one thing is that I do hate is nickel and diming me for stuff, right? Either let me get the whole thing, or
You mean you don't like being charged for stuff that should have come with the game to start with?
no, not necessarily. I'm just more or less that
Bear's opinionated on that.
Don't make me pay $5 for
Blood
for a stack of
video game.
for a stack of ammo, right? That I'm gonna end up using, which I'm surprised they don't do. Get this ammo pack.
Oh, 100% they do. Look at World of Warships, World of Tanks.
Oh my gosh,
premium ammunition. Anywho, off topic.
That's on topic. We're talking about monetization.
We're 2 minutes in. We're still on topic. It's crazy. What about you, Bear? What's your favorite monetization model? Not your least favorite, because we can be negative all day long.
I would say the best one that I've seen would be Star Wars, the Knights of the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one because you could buy the game, and you could pay your sub. It came out after WoW, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have your sub, but then you didn't go back to being like a nobody. You still had preferred status, and you still got to do things. I know games are going to do that, especially if you're going to have a series. So you have the base game, and then you have DLCs and DLCs and DLCs. If the DLCs match the content of the original game, or at least a good chunk is more content and new stuff, then I don't mind paying that, and I don't mind subbing to your game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're nickel and diming me and you're putting out just garbage, here's another update, here's another it's like, what are you doing? Why don't you just put out a big update with all that in it and make us pay $30?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Star Wars, I haven't played it in 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. So I don't know how much it's changed from that, but I think that is very appealing, and you can play free to play, but you obviously don't get all the perks and all this. But I do like that their model, because you still could do, if you didn't have a sub, you could still do dungeons, you could still do PvP, but you only could do so much, which it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, you're getting the free to play version of the game. So
Right.
and like to a point, there's a couple games that actually do that model that I appreciate. EVE Online, recently, well, not recently, this was like 2-3 years ago. They actually made their game free to play, which you were very limited in what you could do. But for a free to play game, it was actually genuinely playable. Like,
Mhm.
had I not been so invested into the 100 things I was doing,
Right.
I probably would just play the free to play version because it's okay. It's mediocre, but it's you get what you pay for on that.
Right.
But I would have to say my model is actually the one-time purchase with cosmetics or like small microtransactions. Like, as much as I'm not a fan of microtransactions as a whole, because in my mind, every game I've really ever played, microtransactions have always ruined the game. They make it so that you're basically just paying to win. Games like Guild Wars, right? You pay for the game. Great, awesome. And then their microtransaction market is literally cosmetics and quality of life. That's
Yeah.
Well,
it.
like to me, like I don't mind cosmetics being a micro or a transaction for us to pay, right? Because you are paying, you are investing. It's like, hey, I like your guys' product. I'm playing this game. Yeah, I don't mind looking different.
Mm-hmm.
My beef is the amount that they charge you for some of these skins. Like when you take it like League of Legends, right? For a hero skin, it was like you were paying like $20 for one. I'm like, oof, $20 to make my guy look different.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I was like, I love the game, but the thing is that if League of Legends had another way for me to pay to invest in them, like, hey, give us $40 like standard game play, and then you have access to all the heroes, right, and maybe future heroes or what have you. That I would put money into because with as much heroes as they have, I don't have to worry about having to save up or nitpick as far as what heroes I want to pay for or get. It's like I get them all because of this one bundle, and that's what Smite did. Way back when, its early stages, that you can pay $35 and you get all the access to all the heroes, and then access to all the future heroes. And it's sad now that I don't play it because I lost my account and all my heroes are gone.
You lost your account?
He lost his Guild Wars 2 account too, and he just kind of said, I'll make a new one.
Your new one? The
No,
one
no,
you're playing
no.
on right now?
He had a Guild Wars account.
Oh,
Yeah, but I mean, like again, I played it like back when it was like only on the one expansion.
Yeah.
So I was max level then, but it was I didn't really have anyone to play with. So
we got a couple different kind of monetization models, and just let me know if I'm missing anything. So you got pay to play, which is basically subscription. You got one-time fee games, so you're looking at something kind of like an Elder Scrolls. You're looking at something, not an Elder Scrolls Online, but like a Skyrim or God of War, something like that. You've got your free to play with your microtransactions, so you're looking more towards like, I feel like mostly mobile does that. Although, I mean, we just did one League of Legends.
right.
So MOBAs, mobile, Call of Duty, definitely one of those with microtransactions.
It seems like a lot of PvP ones that are like free PvP.
Oh yeah, I actually didn't even like put those two together.
Because
That
when you
totally
look at
makes sense.
Halo Infinite, you can download and play Halo Infinite. You can't play the campaign, but you can play the multiplayer.
I didn't even
right.
think about
and
that.
then that's where you.
And then there's a
see
lot
all
of microtransactions in that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Because again, you have to look different for everybody else.
Yeah, well, I don't.
Right.
I just want to look like John 117. So that's
Right. But no.
I want to be
just one
Bear
OG.
117.
Yeah.
I like the cosmetics. Like I like unlocking them though more than I do.
Oh yeah, I remember
then,
Halo
like-
3 being like going and unlocking like
Yeah.
the Hayabusa armor or getting like the samurai sword. Like
Just-
that was cool.
I think that you could. I think that you should do both. I think you should have transactions where if people want to buy these fancy cosmetics, okay, or mounts, but then also have the achievements of actually unlocking really cool stuff.
Mhm.
And don't make it like impossible. Like have like different tiers that you can work towards. That
Mhm.
Like-
and maybe even add a feature where you get to choose the pieces you want from after you've accomplished it. Like, here, what piece do you want for your head, your head armor? Like, giving players those kind of options, I think would mitigate that anger and frustration. And like, hey, I love your game, but I'm tired of getting slammed with microtransactions every time I jump in the game.
Mhm.
Like, I just want to play and have fun. And oh, cool, you have this other feature where I can go and unlock this stuff.
Like
I
to,
don't know.
to me, like as far as like when it comes to seasons, right? Which is just
Mm.
one way to make a one play or a one purchasable game multi-purchasable, multi-purchasable.
Perishable. I don't
Multi-purchasable.
Thank you.
Purchasable.
English is hard today, guys.
Detection?
No,
Dedication?
no. Dictation is hard.
Isn't it enunciation?
Both, I think. I think
okay.
dictation is more about, yeah.
I know what a
Enunciation.
dictator is.
Uh.
A dictation. Anyway, continue.
But the problem that I have with seasons is that, like, yeah, you have this like free path, right? That like, oh, I'm leveling up and progressing, and then it's like, oh, you have another path that like, oh, if you gave us money, you could also have gotten this at this time too. I'm like, okay, to me that I just kind of find it like, all right, well that's bullshit. You put in something in the game that unless I pay for, you know, I have to have access to.
But with
Now,
if you did it with my system, you could have really cool, hey, you paid, these are cool.
right?
But then you have something that's comparable that's just as cool almost. And it's like, hey, you don't have to pay. You still can be cool. You can still have cool stuff. I
Right.
think that you have two
Like,
if you're going to do a pass.
I think as far as for the pass to work is that either okay, I paid the pass, I get the access to it now, like through the progression,
Mhm.
right? If I don't pay like the progression and I'm still going through it, maybe after the season's over, I can have access to it by having a certain achievement or something like that in the new season, right? And I can look at past season because not everyone joins in at the beginning of the game,
Right.
right? And if I joined in like say the game like 2 years later and it's still like running hot, but like on season 2 they had like this bitchin' armor that no one can get, right? It's like, oh, it'll be awesome if I can get that because that's the one thing that makes my guy look cool. And it's like, but I can't get it because I didn't pay 2 years ago, when season 2 came out in order to get it.
See, and I think I'm going to disagree wholeheartedly with both of you. I think passes shouldn't be a thing.
Well, I don't think they should be a thing either,
Well,
but I'm just saying
They're
I'm
going to
just,
be a thing. I think
I'm
that's
just-
the point. Like,
yeah.
we know they're going to be a thing.
correct. I'm just trying to mitigate what's already there
Yeah.
as far as to make it more ethical, I guess.
Yeah, I would say ethical because to me, passes are malicious. Because you buy a pass for $15 and it lasts a month, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And now you're like, okay, well, now I have to play this game to unlock the full pass,
Correct.
or I
Or
feel
just
like I just
wasted.
wasted my money.
Yeah.
Correct.
'Cause you
Now,
could, like,
now it becomes a job to
It's
get
one
your
thing.
reward.
Exactly. It's one thing when you're playing World of Warcraft and you pay your $15 sub so that you can go do whatever you want. Like,
Mhm.
to a point, yeah, do you kind of feel obligated to play the game because you paid $15? Sure, maybe.
But then that comes down to like, all right, how many hours am I playing a day?
Yeah, exactly. And it on my end, it came down to like I could spend $15 to sub my account and not like feel the need to play because I could just be like, oh, if somebody hopped on and they were like, oh, let's play, man, then I'd be like, sure, whatever. Like I kept it for community.
Right.
But to look at something to buy a pass on COD, in my mind it would be like, oh, you have to play, you have to make this worth it. Like, why'd you spend $15 on this pass and you're not even gonna play the stupid game? Like, you
Right.
have to unlock everything that you can get because of it. So in my mind, I think it's manipulative and malicious.
Right. No,
But
I agree.
I do agree that there's a lot better ways to kind of go about the whole pass thing.
Right. There's definitely a better way to do it ethically. And if we end up having a first person shooter or a game that we end up deciding to have a battle pass, we will not do it like they're doing it.
This season.
Like,
Well, like
Now,
I want the way that needs to be done is we want people to be able to want to donate their money to us,
right.
right? And do it in a way to where we're not, like, hey, we're not ripping you off, but like the game still needs to be funded some way,
Correct.
right, in order to have continued development. And I do understand that, but that would come at a cost of like not releasing a next gen, first person shooter a year later, right, to where you guys have to start over now. Right. The thing with me with the first person shooters is that like, okay, we have COD and then we have the next COD that came out next year, or the next COD that comes 2 years from now. Right. And in the end it's like, okay, well why do we have all these versions of COD and we still doing season passes on them? It's like, to me that's just kind of like a little bit ridiculous. Now if we're gonna release a first person shooter, it's like, all right, here's our shooter, here's our universe that we're gonna be in, and this is gonna be continued, kind of like how Overwatch, right?
Mm-hmm.
They only have like Overwatch 1 and then Overwatch 2, which was like a big update because they added like PvE to it.
That's kind of cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's pretty much the main difference between the first one and the second one. But like, essentially, I want to be able to like, all right, here's our world, right? Here's what we're going to expand on it. Unless we're drastically changing the system altogether as far as like the way the gun works or what have you, or it's like a time gap of like enough to be where the weapons are substantially different, right? That's the only time that I say it's worth going to the next one, right? Because with seasons, you can also do it as far as releasing chapters of a story, right? So the first season, is like the main story, right? You get the first season when you purchase it, when you buy the game, like $35 or whatever that, or $60 if we were that high quality. And then you have our campaign, right? You play through the campaign, and it's like as Halo Epic, right?
Oh, yeah.
In order for me to charge you 60, like you have to have a first-person game that has a story that's as epic as any game that we've played in the past, and also have a multiplayer that goes with it, right? No, obviously the multiplayer is the end game, right? So you have the season 1 that you paid for with the original. Then season 2 comes out. It's like, well, not necessarily updating our game anymore, right? Because it's not like the console wars back in the day where, the next, here's the next system, here's our newest graphic. Like, it's kind of like, almost like plateaued.
Yeah, it's plateaued. They're at the point where their point of entry for dollars is the same as PC gaming, so they can't do anything else until the market drops.
Correct. And, until we get like another spike in technology, which,
correct.
I mean, with the metahumans and stuff like that, that's probably going to be a little while.
Thanks, Microsoft.
But yeah, so it's going that route as far as like, all right, now season 2 is coming out. Here's an update. Here's another chapter, and it wouldn't necessarily be another $65 game because it's still the same first game. But like, all right, here's 15. Here's the next chapter of our story, right? That you get plus season 2.
Yeah. So we had this conversation at one point because we were talking about Halo Infinite, and we had hopped on the Halo Infinite bandwagon when it originally released.
Well, we played it. So I don't.
Yeah, we hopped on the bandwagon for a little bit.
I didn't pay for the season.
Oh, neither did I. I didn't even pay for the game.
I thought you paid for the game. I thought you got the campaign.
No, not at all. Regardless.
Yeah.
So we hopped on the bandwagon.
Right.
We played the game, and then we dropped off, and then we picked it up like a year later because why not? Well, we picked it up, and then we load into the game, and there's this amazing cutscene with all this story and background and characters.
That we had no idea who they are.
And then there was literally nothing else to go with it.
Correct.
And then as soon as that cutscene was done, 6 different pop-ups on my screen telling me to buy the battle pass and telling me to purchase this and do this, and I'm just like, why would I do that? And your cutscene wasn't attached to anything. Like, you may be trying to tell a story through COD does it too. They release a new update, and then it's some random
guy falling out
like an operator, here's our new guy that we're introducing to the squad of.
And so they said they had this really cool cinematic with like a little bit of story, but nothing else that goes with it. So cool, for this Warzone game, I just got this cinematic and a little bit of changes and updates, but I didn't get anything useful. Now, if you change that and you have that battle pass, and with it comes 2, 3, 4 more missions, 2 more campaigns
and
that you can go into and play.
When I said chapter, it's as big as we want to make it.
Oh yeah.
I was just saying, here's our next section of the story.
Yeah.
Like I said, because we don't have to like necessarily go from Halo 1 to Halo 2 with the graphical update, or as big as it did to change systems, Yeah. And to me, that's how seasons should work. Like, oh, we're ready for our next hit here, and
Yeah,
here you go.
absolutely. You should be adding something to your players. You should be giving them something worthwhile. You shouldn't just be like, all right, what stupid colored gun can we add this time to make
Right.
hundreds of thousands of dollars?
And then if you don't want to buy season 2 to play the first person or whatever, then that's fine. You can still have fun in the multiplayer, right? And still gain some rewards. It's just some of the rewards will probably won't be locked. Will be locked to you until like season 3 comes out.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. I actually didn't even think about that when I was thinking about like subscriptions, but that pretty much goes into the subscription kind of category.
Correct.
Because
I mean, but that's what battle passes are. They're just,
those games aren't pay to play,
right.
but they are, in a sense, pay to enjoy.
Yeah, sure.
We
No.
won't go into what they did with their multiplayer because
Right.
that's I'm not well versed enough on Call of Duty because I just don't play it.
Right.
But on that microtransaction kind of chain there, so you got cosmetics, you got gameplay enhancing, and then you got pay to win kind of microtransactions.
Right. The whales.
Yeah, the whales. People who drop how much was it? $50,000 on a mobile game called Diablo Immortal.
No, they spent like
it was 100 something.
Was it 100,000? I just
insane.
It's crazy to me that that's like even acceptable.
Right.
yeah, like
You release a game, you want your players to play your game. Obviously, you want to make money. Obviously, you want them to enjoy it. I mean, you want your players to get the most out of your game. How is giving them the ability to max out their character day one through spending money giving your players anything worthwhile?
It's not their
right.
point.
And it's like
It's just about making the money.
and the thing is even with the Immortal gameplay, it was the same as Diablo 3. You had rifts, right? And you had boss fights, and then that was it. The only thing that they added new was, hey, you had PvP, which was awesome. And I enjoyed it thoroughly until, here comes this whale, and I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? That's like, I'm just getting wrecked by this guy. It's like, am I playing the wrong class? Like, no. This guy just,
Bought everything.
correct. And it has like all his legendary gems maxed out and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I can probably get there eventually as a free to play player, but like it's
I
going to
think
take me a while.
they said it would take it to get to the end where these people paid. It would take like 10 years or something insane to get there. To
Yeah.
where that guy, which is absurd.
Right.
And like you can't expect anything from the culture at like Blizz and all this. It's not about really the gaming community or any of that.
Mhm.
It's about affecting the culture and like getting us. We're greedy. Give us,
Mhm.
give us, give us, give us. So they've taken out of video games the ethics, taking care of your fan base, taking care of like your players. Like we want to contribute to your lives by making something like Mario did when we were younger. Like this, wow, it's so cool. It changed like our childhood, right?
Mhm.
They're not about that anymore. It's like, hey, flashy, flashy, money, money, money.
And this is why I still like Nintendo's one of my
right.
top developers, because they're innovative. Like they always try to
Right.
do something different to break away, even though like they design like the worst controllers
I know.
imaginable.
I
But
know.
they're trying. They're trying.
N64, buddy.
Dude,
Oh,
Why has it got 3 hands?
like, and then the GameCube, like what
that
is
was
this
so
mess?
boxy. That was great. But you remember it.
Right.
Although I do
Right.
remember the first Xbox controller, how big that. Well, my
Yeah.
hands
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
I
dude.
was young,
dude.
Yeah, no, like
I had
it
to get
it
the
was beefy.
customized one that was like small, a little bit
Correct.
smaller.
Like
fitting.
yeah, I got like the Gen 2, which were like oh, okay, this fits my hands.
but yeah, no, that was crazy. But I would agree. Like the way that Nintendo, I feel, has run their business over the years, like I feel like their fan base, anytime they've done something stupid, has just like instantly lashed out,
Mhm.
and they've been like, "All right, we're not doing that again."
Correct.
So
Well,
Like,
I
well,
think that's
'cause-
good though, right? Like if
Oh,
you
absolutely.
80% of your fan base is like, don't do this, then maybe
because
you should
one of the things
reevaluate.
is that you look at Wind Waker, right? Legend of Zelda,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Before Wind Waker came out, they had released a cutscene of Link going off against Ganon, right? In this high def
Just
oh
go ahead.
promo against Ganon in this high def high resolution fight, and people were like ecstatic when they was like, yeah, we're gonna finally get like a realistic Zelda, right? Because this is jumping off of Ocarina of Time, right? And then we get Wind Waker, which was a cell shade freaking cartoony looking Link, and it was just like there was a massive reaction and backlash to that because of that. Now, I played Wind Waker. It is an absolutely fun game, and if you haven't, it's one of those treasured links that I would put like in the top 5 up there. And then what came after Wind Waker was Twilight Princess, which was that more realistic rendered of.
I think that looks gross.
Right. So, and then you go to like the cinematic that they had before that, which I don't know if you're able to pull it up, but it was high def back in the day, right? We're talking about like N64 to GameCube area.
Oh, 007.
The GameCube was coming out.
GoldenEye
Right.
graphics.
But like we're going like up to the GameCube. It's like, oh, right. Now we're like 120. Yeah, we're in 100.
We've jumped.
We jumped.
We leveled up.
Probably not gonna.
Anyway, it's not worth the time. I'm probably not gonna find it.
But anyways, it was such a drastic difference that like the community outrage, and unfortunately, Wind Waker did suffer for it. But again, it is, in my opinion, a great game. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And anyone who's a Zelda fan eventually picks it up and be like, "Oh, okay, this was not as bad as I thought it was going to be." But then we got Twilight Princess, which was a lot more realistically rendered, and that's how it's been since. Now, granted, Breath of the Wild is, when it came out, more on the cell shaded side than it is the more realistic. But the way that they changed the game in that was
That's the new one, right? Or is
correct.
that
Well, the new one before the new one.
Yeah, I feel like
what's the newest one called?
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I think the graphics look nice and
Right, but still like still on the cartoony
Right.
side instead of like the realistic rendered. But like what they were able to do with the system to be able to produce that, it's just
that's what I was gonna say. What they did with what they had, just immaculate.
I mean, could you imagine if they were able to do something for like the PC, like high-end PC?
Yeah.
Like I would here.
Could you imagine?
It doesn't
like,
matter. $100 for Zelda? Shoot, I paid like $200 for the Switch and Zelda. So
I mean, just seeing what I've been able to do with Unreal Engine 5.
oh my god,
I can only imagine what somebody who has spent hours upon years mastering game development could produce within Unreal Engine.
Actually,
wait till they have the VR one.
You should take a look at like some of the high res Unreal 5 footage of
I have of everything. There's
No,
much.
No, I meant to Legend of Zelda.
Oh yeah,
Ocarina of Time. They did
somebody rebuilt like all of Ogrimmar inside of Unreal Engine, and it was
have
the
they?
freaking most
Really?
like awesome thing I've ever seen.
That we're right
That's-
off topic.
Yeah, now we're off topic.
Hey,
It's still game
it's
development.
still games.
Whoa,
They
we're
actually
talking about
built the whole city.
All of Ogrimmar.
That's
that's
sweet.
pretty cool.
It was great. We'll have to watch the video at some point, but yeah, it was pretty awesome. So I think we're all pretty much on the bandwagon of like Nintendo does it right. You buy a game, you get a good game.
Correct.
And I think a lot of developers could take a look and be like, maybe we would have a better fan base
The only
if we
thing
just sold our games correctly.
right. The only thing that I don't agree with is their Smash, because they did the same thing with all their fighters or with every fighter out there. Like, oh, yeah. Granted, they brought like every character back, which in their base game, which is great. But like, oh, we're introducing new fighters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't necessarily blame them for that one with how absolutely atrocious all the other games are. Like of all the monetization of fighters, Smash Brothers is the least.
Right. Well, they only have like 5 packs, but it's just like
Well, the most recent Mortal Kombat has like freaking 10 people. And then it's everything else that you have to purchase.
right.
Are you kidding me?
No.
What happened to like the 30 characters you could unlock while you're playing the whole game?
No.
What?
Yeah.
10
So-
characters.
Well, and it's the same. It's the same thing with Street Fighter, right? Like, one of my favorite characters is Ibuki, but she's not.
Who?
It's a
Ibuki?
It's a very niche player.
she's a female ninja that kicks ass. Okay,
Okay.
so
Ninjas.
she combos well, and I liked her playstyle. And
John likes that she wore skimpy clothing.
she did. She wore a ninja outfit.
Speaking of which, ninjas beat pirates. Just saying.
Yes.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
No, not
Oh
at all.
yeah, 100%.
I just
Alright,
had to put that out there for some of our fans.
Yeah,
that watch
leave
this.
a
Pirates,
comment.
Pirates versus ninjas.
Oh, am I with the
Ninjas.
rogue hater?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're.
I'm pretty sure.
You're pretty sure you're with the rogue here.
The
Anywho,
rogue.
if you think pirates would beat ninjas, go ahead and leave a like and comment on the video.
Which they won't, but.
That's all right.
You won't even see this.
But no, it's like she's not a main character. She's not like Ryu or Ken that's going to be in every single Street Fighter. I don't know why I just went to puberty there, but to me,
all
it's just
do.
like you make all these awesome characters that we all learn and we put hours and hours mastering these combos, only for the next generation to come out and be like, my character's not even there.
Mm.
Like what the hell? And it's like, now do I have to wait to see if you put it into a DLC character that I have to purchase on top of your original game? And it's just like, really? It's like, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
Yeah.
How much is each DLC or each character pack for the Mortal Kombat?
I haven't looked at it. They probably won't release a DLC pack for like a couple months because I'm sure that would really piss people off. You release a game and then instantly have DLC.
Right.
That would be a bit rough.
Right. I mean, DLC is like, oh,
DLC's
we try to hit a timeline. Here you go. This stuff's not finished yet. You'll get it after we finish it.
True DLC is like Halo 3. When you get your base game, your base maps, your base
Right.
everything, and then like 6 months later, like, hey, we designed 3 new maps. Like,
Oh,
check 'em out.
yeah.
Like, and then 6 months after that, hey, we got 3 more maps.
Here, come check this out.
What I didn't like was that they did that, and then if you didn't buy the maps, like playing multiplayer was rough
Because
because
you'd have to wait.
yeah,
till
you couldn't
get-
play like Lone Wolf, you
Yeah.
couldn't play certain game modes because you had to have the maps. Would suck, but it is what it is. That was just how they did it back in the day.
in the day.
Well, and that's the thing, right? They set the precedent to what it is today. Like, because, it's like, oh, people are willing to pay for this. Like, well, let's see if we start release DLC content. Or let's release special editions.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Skyrim on its like 8th special edition.
No. I meant, like, on a release day, here, you're going to pay, you want to pay the premium, you get this much extra to it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
You have the basic, deluxe, and
Correct. The basic, so you
Yeah,
just get the
and you
basic.
know what?
Epic or
I
whatever it is.
understood that when it was a physical game
too.
copy.
Correct.
Because
When it was
I
physical.
love collectibles.
Right.
yeah,
I
that's-
literally go through the stores, go through Goodwills, looking for like old collectible video
Like,
game
yeah,
stuff.
pre-order this and you get this.
Yeah, that stuff was
that
amazing.
makes sense.
Now
Right.
it's pre-order this and get this in-game cosmetic mount for this game that you probably don't even play, and then we'll give you 1 pet for this game, and then we'll give you a banner, and it's like, I'm gonna pay $40 extra for
stuff that I don't play
digital
for.
assets that I'll never look at and touch.
Right.
Like, come on. It's a little rough.
Yeah.
A little rough. So if you had to pick one
Mm-hmm.
game or one developer who gives the best monetary way of getting their games or doing business, who would you pick?
Pass.
Pat? I know I'm on a little bit of a Guild Wars kick right now, so
Mhm.
like I'll still throw their name out here, but I really do appreciate the way Guild Wars does their stuff.
yeah,
'Cause
we talked about that the other night.
correct. The big thing for me is that I don't care about their story right now. I'll probably eventually buy all their expansions, play their story, do whatever. I just want a PvP. I just want to go into matches. I want to swing my freaking mace. I want to set down my turrets, and I want to smack the piss out of people. Like, that's all I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't have to buy the expansions to do that.
Correct. You don't.
So I bought the most recent one, Obscuring Mist, so that I get what's accessible for PvP at that point. That way I can play how I want to play. But I'm missing 3 expansions
Right.
that I don't have to purchase to be able to have fun and enjoy their game. So that's almost $79, I think, that I don't have to spend purchasing games that I'm not going to play so that I can enjoy what I want to enjoy with their game.
I agree.
No reoccurring fee to play their game. It's
Right.
free to play. Well, not their base game is free to play. You still have to buy the expansion. And then They have microtransactions, which are cosmetics and quality of life.
Yep.
And anything you can buy in the store, you can make gold in the game, transfer it into their premium currency, and then purchase it. And I think that really drives it home for me is that, like, I have so much gold on my account right now that I could buy all the bag slots that I want and not have to, like, sweat it. But I don't care for
But
it.
the thing is,
I don't matter.
it's
doesn't
quality of
matter to me.
life. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna buy this to boost my character up to 80, and now I'm like top dog. Oh, I just bought this, and now I have the highest gear.
No, like if
Come get me.
you boost to
Come get
80,
me.
you're still gonna be just like the guy that's level 3, that's going to the PvP realm. Like,
Right. No,
you-
but that's how their PvP system is.
right.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, pay to win versus pay for quality of life are two drastic things. And to me, I think the best it has to be depending on the type of game, because subscription. I'm not against subscription based
I'm not
gaming,
either.
because if I'm enjoying myself, I have so many dedicated hours, then it's up to me to whether I decide, what I'm playing per hour. Pretty much, is it worth it?
Mhm.
Right? You take a $60 game, it has a campaign. Campaign's only 30 hours, right? Well, I paid like $2 an hour, pretty much, for that game. So the likelihood of me coming back to it after I finish the campaign is probably nil.
In my opinion, that's
No.
pretty good. $2 for
Right.
an hour of fun.
Right. For up to like 30 hours,
Mm.
right? But now there are games to where, like, I paid, $25 for it, and I have put in, like, 300
3,000
hours, right? So obviously I got more bang for my buck in that. And then if I look at, subscription based games, I know I put like a ton of hours in that, to where I'm pretty sure I'm like running on like 50 cents an hour or something like that.
Yeah, if that.
Right. If that. But, like, to me, as long as the quality of the content that keeps being produced out of my $15 or whatever my subscription is quality gameplay, then I don't mind paying it. And I don't mind just being either you pay the subscription or you don't, right? Because the thing is that you can pay for a month, right? And then you don't like it. Well, hey, you only spent $15. You got 20 hours out of it.
Yep, move on to something else.
Correct. Right.
Well, not necessarily. It really depends on the game, because like World of Warcraft, if you're trying to play World of Warcraft,
Right.
you have to buy the game, buy the expansions,
But
and then pay your 15. And then if you're
Oh.
like, this sucks,
right.
because even
But
the,
you
even
don't-
the
you-
trials are a
but
little rough.
even with World of Warcraft, you don't have to buy the base, the Burning Crusade, Cataclysm, Mist, Legion, all this.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. You just pay the current one and then go. After the patch has been done with, you pay for the latest one, whatever price that you want to pay for, right? And then typically gives you your first month's free,
Mhm.
right? So even if you're paying like a $60 game, it's like, okay, well, I can either enjoy this for the month that I have it, right? If I get 30 hours out of it, $2 an hour, then I can move on to another game. If I've only spent 20, then obviously I spent more. If it was lackluster, didn't scratch the itch, or I'm at the last day and I need to put time in, and I'm like, been going ham at like 400 hours here, so I put more money. And then at that point, it's your decision to do so. To me, it's the ones that I don't like are the ones that people are able to just keep paying with no limit, and being able to be like, give me more money, give me more money, give me more money. Like, all right, me, as far as like the ethical way of doing it, is like, well, like, hey, you've already spent this much money on us. We appreciate the money that you've given us, but we're just letting you know you have hit this threshold. Do you want to continue? Because at
Giving
least,
people the
because
choice.
yeah, because one of the the predatory ways of doing things is like, oh, hey, get this for like $2.99.
Or like you're
Or
in a
get the-
struggling spot in the game, and they're like, "Hey, how about you buy this? It'll make it easier."
Right. For
you're
like,
like, okay.
for like $5.99.
Yeah.
Right. And then you always have like those big bundles of like, oh, here's one for $99 that gives you all this stuff, but no one's ever going to pay for it, right? they're going to pay for like the $5 ones like over and over and over until.
I don't know. I feel like we've known plenty of people who would spend that money on the higher end packages.
Right, but would they? Granted, possibly, but I'm just saying for the average person that sees like $2.99 versus a $99 package, well, the $2.99 is going to get what you need right then and there, right? It'll cover what you want to get to. They're going to go for the $2.99, right? And if you keep doing it, and then all of a sudden a pop up comes up, it's like, hey, just so you know, you spent like $50 with us within this month. Do you want to continue with this purchase? Right?
I actually think that is an unbelievably ethical way to look at it.
I do too. I think people would appreciate it because one, most people are not paying attention when they're playing a video game with their budget or what's going on or anything. It's like, I'm wanting to play it, I want to have fun, I'm trying. Okay, yes, I'll do it, and they keep doing that.
And if
they
you
get
want
themselves stuck,
yeah,
in a pattern of like, oh, I have to, and then you have people that we've known that spent thousands and thousands of dollars in games
on a phone game on a phone game that's not that high tech.
Right.
It's pretty much almost like a text-based game, and it just has marching animations.
I know.
And I'm just like, really? You've blown that much money on this just to have a higher power town?
Yeah, it's
like,
kind of crazy
okay.
to me, but it instills that sense of like, I have to spend money so that I maintain where I'm at. And I mean, people are built different. Their minds work differently. Like, I would look at that, and within like 30 seconds of playing the game, I'd be like, piss off. Like, go kick rocks, kid.
Right.
And like, other people would look at that and be like, I can be number one, and then just like throw money at it. I knew people growing up that like the way they felt better playing video games was by buying cosmetics for every single one of their champions in League of Legends.
Right.
The way they felt better was buying the $100 freaking Miss a Pandaria package and not the $50 one. Like, that's how they felt they would play the game bet. Like, it's just the way people's brains works and what they do is very malicious. And I think that just showing people like the realization of, hey, you've spent this much money would change people's minds on how they spend money.
Right. And like, and I don't want to like, be like, hey, don't give us money. It's just, we're just warning you. Like, listen, you paid this much.
Right.
Do you want to ignore this, or our warning, and you can still continue with the purchase? We're not going to stop you because to each their own. We're not going to control your lives by like, hey, no, you're
stuck.
Right. You're spending your money badly.
I saved up this $10,000 just to spend it, baby.
Right, exactly. If you want to give us $10,000, then like by all means. But I think the best way is to, for every cosmetic that you have out there that you want to have people buy, I think it needs to go to a donation or cause.
Oh, absolutely.
And not just be like, oh, just make your character look different. It's like, no, it's like, listen, we're partnering with this for this. Here's our skin for this guy, and every skin that we make would be going towards something, and then that way showing it up on the website and be like, hey, here's how much we tracked for this, here's how much we tracked for that, and then we can go by like, okay, it's not tracked because of the organization, or did the skin suck,
Mm-hmm. That was one thing John and I were talking about earlier. Was it 2 weeks ago?
That
when we were talking about Blizzard
podcast.
Well, no, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
No, yeah.
So when we had talked about Blizzard a couple weeks ago and how they were actually doing something good with their cosmetics.
Right.
They were donating to a cause. They were actually being productive for society with what they were trying to do. Like, why can't everybody do that?
And why can't it be for every skin?
For one, great business model, it's a tax write-off. Like,
right.
You can't tell me that's a negative thing for your company. It's great publicity. It's a good tax write-off. And I, as a consumer, am more likely to spend money when I know where it's going. You have all these games that produce so much microtransactions and produce so much content, and you pay, and then the Activision CEO gets a $300 million bonus. Like, right. You look at it and you're like, okay, my money went to his yacht.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. Versus John and I were talking before the podcast about like, why don't companies post what they make? Why, as Sundered Gaming, can't we have a tab on our website that says revenue for this year, payroll for this year. Wow, our payroll's really high. Well, the standard person within the gaming industry makes $40,000. Standard person within Sundered Gaming makes $65,000. Like, I feel that people, if you're visible and you're transparent with where your money is, what it's going to, and what it's doing, are way more likely to spend money on your game. Because then you keep going down the list of being like, we donated this much money this year. We made this much money in cosmetics, and this is where all that money went to. This is how much we put into game development.
Mm-hmm.
This is how much we put into R&D. Like, if you actually tell your players where your money's going, they're going to be more likely to spend money.
Right.
I literally almost went and bought something from Blizzard to gift it to like my mom so she can play World of Warcraft. Like, I would have bought those pets just because, just gift them to her because the money went to actually something. Right. And like, once again, I'll never play a Blizzard game again, but I can get behind a cause. I can't get behind terrible business practices and bad ethics. And I actually think it's kind of a good transition into our kind of monetary model for Ages of Laterra, our tower defense game.
Right.
Would we like to talk about that, boys?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So we've talked a little bit about a couple different things. So one, we've talked about ads. And as obnoxious as that sounds, and I know I hate ads, I know I hate banners, I know I hate pop-ups, I hate all of that crap. I can't stand it. And if I'm playing a game and I download it and there's a ad that pops up within like the first minute, I'm deleting the game. I won't even hesitate. I will literally just like, oh, I was looking forward to this. Sucks to be me. Click delete. Like, whatever. I don't care for it. But you still need to be able to make money as a developer. And I think ads are a halfway decent way to do it.
As an indie developer.
Yeah, especially as an indie developer.
Right.
But using ads to like double resources generated, to not speed things up, because I think that's a little bit malicious. And plus, we don't have any time-sensitive stuff in our game. But to double resource revenue, actually, I think that was the only thing we were talking about, wasn't it? The play the ad to double the resources.
Correct. And it would be something that you chose to watch.
Correct. So it's a you choose ad that would pop up when you finish missions, finish other stuff. But then being able to go within the settings and being like, because I would do this personally, if there's an options in the settings that I can click that says turn off ads, or even if I open up the game and it says, hey, ads will help you out in this game if you would like them, click yes or no. If you click no, you don't get ads. Like, it's that simple. And if you ever get to the point where you're like, okay, I kind of want to turn them back on so I can double my resources, move my pace a little quicker, then cool, you can do that. But I think as a business, giving people the option and not shoving it in their face is going to be so much more beneficial for the company than not having that option at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the one thing that I hate is like, oh, I complete a level, right? And I'm like, oh, I sit through an ad. And even the ones that said like, oh, hey, you can watch the video, you get more resources, and you say no thanks. And what am I doing?
Watching an ad anyways.
I'm watching an ad anyway. I'm like, really?
No thanks.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch it.
I'm saying no thanks. Go on to the next level, please. And I'm like, and I know these are like just basic games that are like, all these puzzles for me, but still, it's irritating. I'm like, I'm trying to flex my brain here with these puzzles, and you're stopping my flexing, making me watch a dumb ad for 20 seconds.
Ad. Yeah.
And like, as much as I hate it, I think that if we give you an ad, you should want to click on it to watch it to get a benefit out of it. And like you said, just turn it off. You don't want it, and then we won't show it to you, or it won't be advertised. But hopefully, as far as like with our monetization, anything that we do monetize within our shop will definitely give you a heads up of like, hey, you spent this much already.
Yeah.
Just try to be as ethical as we can, and then we'll show you like, hey, this development is going on to actually making a company.
Right.
So we could start off going there by actually paying people.
Right.
So
well, I think if you open the game and like the first screen you said is like, hey, would you like ads? And then you have like the pros lists.
Right.
And then you have like the cons list of like, what happens if you turn off ads? And it's like,
Right.
yeah, you don't get bullshit ads. I'd be like thumbs up, like
But,
no ads.
but then developers get no money.
Yeah,
And they have the
right.
sad face.
You could put a donate button there and be like, donate to us if you like the fact that we got rid of the ads.
Developers eat PB&J and ramen. But then on top of that, we also talked about microtransactions and doing some sort of marketplace. So with that, I hate microtransactions just like the next guy, but I would love to not be eating ramen and PB&J for the rest of my life.
Right.
So in and of that, we have kind of two different modes for like the premium currency that we've been discussing and talking about. So we got, obviously you can go into the store, you can purchase it, and then you can use that premium currency to purchase things within the store. Nothing game breaking, nothing that you can't attain by playing the game and playing it at a good pace, not playing it like 20 hours a day to try and attain stuff. And then we also have what we talked about, which was endless mode, which is basically just a challenge mode of being like, hey, you're literally going to have the ability once a day to unlock this like endless gameplay. And the further you get into it, the better the rewards, the better the premium currency payout, the better the potions, the better the whatever it is we're going to do there, so that you're not just being like, oh, well, I can't play this game because somebody went into a battle against me and they had potions and I didn't. Like, you have every opportunity to have just as much as the next person, and you don't have to spend money to have it.
Right.
And
I'm
I
with
think,
that.
yeah, we've had a lot of discussions about monetization.
Yep.
And I just think being upfront and ethical is going to be the best in the long run, regardless.
Until we're able to produce a game that, hey, you got to pay for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. I'm going down the list in my head. I'm like,
The second game.
third.
Is it the second? I thought the second one was.
No, second game would be free.
Yeah, second game's
Nice.
free, and then
Gonna
third.
be-
The
Third
third
one.
game might be pay for.
It might be a pay to have, not a pay and then give us more money in microtransactions.
Or it might be another free one, depending on what it looks like, what we can develop at that time.
Oh, it might be the fourth one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because actually, I don't think that's.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-oh.
the fourth one's paid for, not the third.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about number two.
Number 2 or number 3?
Number two. I was thinking about number 3. I wasn't thinking about number 2.
You
For
forgot
anyone
about
who's
that?
wondering, we have an entire list on the board over there that we keep referencing.
A sort of timeline of what we want to do.
Boy, that timeline is effed up.
Technically, if we hurry up with this first one and then the second one, we could make the deadline. Not for the third.
I'd rather release a good game.
Not
Yeah,
for the third one.
We're
though.
not gonna be like 90% of these games early access. Your game sucks. We know. We just wanted you to pay. Like, that's the whole point.
Well, ours will be free.
I know.
Ours is free.
Early access.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, that's technically another monetization scam
Yep.
as far as like the early access.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
and I know a lot of indie developers do it, and
But what happens when
It-
it's
it-
not an indie developer? Like Baldur's Gate.
yeah, if you're
How many years? I
right,
bought that game and then, COVID. The flu?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
oh,
Okay, that entire section has to be redacted.
no, but as far as when it comes to like early access, like if you have a substantial like the dev that we're actually gonna to highlight today, they actually had early access, but they had a substantial amount of the base game there for you to play and actually do, and they've just been expanding on it since it's even after it's released, which is, those people I think do it right. Like, oh hey, here's a majority of chunk of it. You want to check it out. We're still like a small developer team. You want to support us. Here's how much it costs to help continue to develop it. And I think that's a good one. The ones that like you pay early access for, it's like, oh okay, I have one town and I can shoot 3 bullets. All right, that's it.
You mean our game?
All our towers work, okay? I got every single tower to work.
Does it?
Yes.
Does it in this file? No.
Not yet, but it will. I finally got every single tower to function how it should. I just need to put it together so they all do it in the same game.
I don't know. Maybe we should talk about our game next week.
Yeah?
I don't know. We'll see.
Get an actual like dev company talking about the game that they're developing.
They're developing. What a concept. That's actually a good segue into our developer shout out for this week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that sentence was so hard for me.
It's one of those days.
One of those days. So the developer that we're shouting out today is actually going to be Coffee Stain Studios. So they were company was created in 2010. They're a Swedish company, and what they actually started out as was a publisher. Recently, within the last 3 years, I want to say 2020, they released a game called Satisfactory. Currently $29.99 on Steam. Just give you a brief synopsis. Satisfactory is a first-person, open-world, factory-building game with a dash of exploration and combat. Play alone or with friends, explore an alien planet, create multi-story factories, and enter conveyor belt heaven. Or as John said earlier, conveyor belt hell. So, the company itself has 120 employees. Obviously, they've been building over the years, and they've had a lot of success with this game. To me, one of the biggest things about it is the fact that it's $29.99 and you get the game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You get a game to play that they continue to update. They just, it was originally produced in Unreal Engine 4, and they are now upgrading it to Unreal Engine 5. And I think they might have actually done it already. Yes, no?
Maybe.
Okay.
Is that game still single player?
No, it's
multiplayer.
multiplayer. The multiplayer keeps getting better.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave my comment to myself.
Yeah.
You wanna give us a brief synopsis of your opinions on it, Johnny boy?
So if anyone's played or Factorio, it's pretty much Factorio in 3D, which it's nice. It's definitely, and yes, it was an early access game at one point, but it was definitely a game that was unique. It was, one that had obviously, it was a unique game, and you feel very immersed when you're playing it because you're the size of a human, right? But you're building these factories that are like, obviously like 3 times bigger than you are, and it can be it's pretty impressive. And then you see other people's work, and you're just like, wow, my factory looks like this little put together spaghetti, Velcro or conveyor belts, and looks like mine's put together with duct tape and glue, while there's just like full on factory buildings to where polished concrete, windowed factory smokes coming out of stacks and stuff like. And I'm just like, wow, I don't even have a road. I'm just on the dirt.
I'm on the dirt.
Right, I'm on the dirt making iron plates. This guy is like has nuclear factories making batteries and has hovercrafts and stuff like that. And what's nice about it is that like it does have hostile enemies. So when you're exploring, all of a sudden you're getting ambushed by something, and it really has that like element of
Like
exploring, like even though like your gun is like a rebar gun, you're like crap. Okay, smash.
Doesn't it have an easy mode essentially where you can turn enemies off?
You can. In one of the more recent updates, they did put a pacifist mode in there.
I like that.
To where
I like the way they worded that.
The enemies are just like do.
And I can just appreciate the fact that like they continue to update that game.
Right.
They continue to really be there for their community and give them something that's worthwhile. Like we were watching a video a little bit earlier about like their community engagement guy, like talking about the games, talking about the company and all that fun stuff. And I'm like, I'm useless compared to that guy.
Right.
But I don't have a game to talk about yet. So
I think one thing that I would appreciate about it if I played that type of game is the fact that you can play it without being online. There's like single player mode, like real single player mode, not where it's like you still have to connect. I think that's there's Wi-Fi everywhere, for
Mhm.
most people. Most people have internet in the United States, but still, maybe you don't want to
You're
be
not,
on
not
the
required
internet.
to log into.
Right. I want to just
Like-
play a game, just play
Right.
and have fun.
That's actually really nice because there's even mobile games where it's like, oh, you need to be connected to the internet. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm playing a single player game.
Yeah, I'm trying
Why
to
do
play
I need to be connected to
cards
anything?
for the
Yeah.
They need to play the
Yeah,
ads.
that's true. That's true. Kills me. But such is life, unfortunately, in the era that we are living in. Ads, money.
Again, some of it is a necessary evil, but I think if you go about it in an ethical way, it'll end up making more in the end.
Yeah, I think almost all of it is just evil,
Mhm.
and I think a very slim amount of that is necessary evil. A very, very slim amount.
Well, I mean,
I
like,
think a lot of it's just
unless we
greed.
produce a game and it's like, hey, here's a game for $5, no ads. I mean, we essentially could do that. But then it's like, how many people are gonna want to pay for a $5 game on a phone? When our culture, as far as when it comes to Western culture, is like, well, aren't most phone games free? Like, well, yeah.
Well, initial cost is free.
Well, theoretically, the gate open is free.
Mhm.
Like you can download it, and test it, and play it. I'm sure in other cultures, there's a lot of paid apps that people play and stuff like that. But I just
Sorry,
know,
I'm looking up. So Balloon Tower's defense is $7 on
Right.
the App Store.
Balloon Tower. Defense?
Balloon Tower defense, like
Number
monkey,
6?
monkeys that like
Or number 8 now?
Number 6.
oh, they haven't gone to 7 yet.
I don't think so. I don't see 7. So I mean, I feel like there's a time and a place for like charging for a mobile game, but like I don't know. It's interesting because I would almost guarantee you can download Balloon Tower Defense. And I don't know, I'm speaking out my butt right now, but I would say you could probably download it and then there's still some kind of market in there. There's still some kind of microtransaction within the game itself. And I will correct myself next time if I am wrong, because I'm going to Google that.
Will you correct yourself?
Absolutely, I'll correct myself. I'll probably forget, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like
I don't even remember what I had for breakfast today. All right. I remember what I had for lunch because it was good.
What'd you have for lunch?
I made stir fry and vegetable egg rolls last
wait,
night.
wouldn't that be breakfast? Because did you say your lunch was at 9?
I don't want to talk about it. Technically, my breakfast was at 3:30 this morning. Oh, I do remember. It was an apple. But yeah, so I mean, there's a time and a place for charging for a mobile game, but I don't know. It seems odd, but they've sold 10 million copies.
It's like, that's not very many.
Yeah.
10,000 people. Whew.
pretty crazy. But yeah, so
But how many of those purchases were like done without the actual card holder's knowledge?
oh, I don't know how many of them were kids. Yeah, that's funny.
I'm just throwing that out there. I know what a 4-year-old has when you give them access to YouTube. It's like you open up every single one every time that ad came up. Well, no wonder the tablet's not working.
Because
Yeah.
everything's open.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Don't they have a YouTube Kids section? Do they still have ads on YouTube Kids? Oh, that would be so malicious.
I'm
gonna go find that out. I'm gonna let you know.
I don't know
I'm gonna-
because they weren't on YouTube.
I'm
gonna-
gonna set a reminder in my phone. YouTube Kids ads ? I'll still forget.
I know.
I should set it for like literally
An
the
alarm.
next time we do the podcast, like right before, be like, oh, I need to check that. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our discussion on microtransactions because I really think we could sit here and talk about this all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Join us next week when John takes on the education system.
Woohoo!
Whoa, game development people.
Yeah, but don't you think technology is going to play a huge role in that? And doesn't it already?
All right, we're not starting this right now.
I was about to go into the AI, freaking mimicking voices and scamming.
Oh,
people
dude,
saying-
I love AI. I think it's great.
You think it's great?
I think it's terrible. I love using it.
Until someone calls you pretending to be one of us, saying that we're kidnapped and we need $5,000 to be released.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go all like taken on their asses and be like,
They won't know the secret
I have
codes.
a special set of skills.
Right.
Yeah. Secret code is Sacagawea.
I thought it was watermelon.
No, you
Peanut
gotta
butter
you gotta
jelly.
say it
You
correct.
you guys keep changing this on me, and this is why when I get
No,
kidnapped,
water-
no one's gonna come for me because I'm gonna say the wrong word.
I was gonna say something inappropriate. Leave it alone. Well, gamers and devs, that wraps up this episode of The Status Quo. We hope you enjoyed the dive into the world of gaming from our point of view. As we close the day, we just want to say thank you for your support as we try to bring a positive and insightful and entertaining content to you every week. If you'd like to stay connected with us beyond the podcast, follow us on all the major social media platforms at Sundered_gaming. You can also check out our website at sunderedgaming.com for any upcoming content, sneak peeks, and announcements about our games. Join us next week where we will be discussing definitely not the education system because John will rant about that one. Maybe we'll discuss single-player games. There's another topic we had mentioned maybe discussing. I don't remember what it was, but I'll probably remember it when I'm watching the podcast doing edits. But join us next week, same time, if I don't forget to upload it. This has been The Status Quo.
Oh, I gotta pee.